following these people for some of the same reasons. Maybe it was outsourcing my thinking to them in certain ways. Maybe it was turning to them, like we were talking about with the Catholics or some of these Reform guys, turning to their church fathers. Instead, we turn to our celebrity pastors for insight and knowledge and for us to feel like we're a part of something. I've probably definitely fallen prey to that stuff, especially in light of people in the past, like, you know, the old guard, you could say, the Tim Kellers, the Gospel Coalition, the Christianity Today, certain sections of the SBC, whatever it might be, falling prey to liberalism or to leftism, rather, falling prey to critical theory and these types of things. You feel almost disenfranchised in a way. You feel left behind, and you're grasping for a new community of people. Yeah. And I think in that kind of resorting, it's easy to get caught up in some bad ideas. And I've never really, I've thought about it a little bit, but that's a really good point.
Yeah. And I think to your point, what a lot of this boils down to us personally, why we tend to fall prey to teachers and maybe be blind to things that they say or do is because we want that community, which is a good thing. We want to be liked. We want people who we can like. We want to be a part of movements. And if we don't have, there are good movements and there are bad movements, but if we don't have really good antenna to see certain problems, then we could easily get swept away into really bad movements. Like think about since today's January 6th, think about the January 6th.
Oh, yeah,
like it was a horrible idea to go into the Capitol, but everybody else looked around and they're like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it. And so they went into the Capitol and they got in trouble for it, even though they're,
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, but
got in trouble for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But the same thing I think is happening. This is my honest opinion on Joel Webbon, and I don't know if this applies to Stephen Wolf, but like I said, there's this weird like community element where people are getting offended on behalf of each other, and it's like, well, Joel Webbon's upset, and so I got to be upset too because I'm a podcaster and
I'm going to defend my brother.
Yeah, or like I'm on the board of Right Response Ministries, and if I want to make money, I got to make sure that his ministry does well, whatever. Like, that's definitely an element of it. But I think with Joel Webbon, my honest opinion is I don't really want to call him a Nazi. I don't think he necessarily actually hates Jews, although you could argue like if he says the stuff that he says, behaviorally he is hating Jews. But I don't really know. But the main problem I think with Joel Webbon,
that might just be a marketing tactic of his. Exactly. This is the group that is going to get him clicks and Patreon subscribes and all that. And
to me, that is the key issue. That's the thing with Joel Webbon. He seems to be very intentionally trying to change his mind or play to certain crowds of people or say certain things that he knows will be attractive to certain groups of people in order to get a greater following. And the problem with that is if you're a pastor, you can't care what people think about you.
No.
It's okay to have a platform. It's okay to grow your platform. Like, for example, Canon Press. I love Canon Press so much. And something about Doug Wilson is that he's been doing this for decades and his opinion hasn't changed on anything. And so that's something that I can really honor someone like Doug Wilson about, where it's like, you've been saying exactly the same thing for 30, 40 years. That's
one thing I've never understood. And there's things that I've disagreed with lately, even with Doug, but you can't say that he's not consistent.
Right.
And so even if you disagree with him, you cannot say he's a hypocrite. Yeah. You can't say he's not consistent because he, like what you said, for years. I guess the one thing people are saying now is, well, he published Stephen Wolf's book, and now he's going back on that. And there can be also some inconsistency there. But
Doug Wilson isn't the guy who is making all the decisions in Canon Press.
Right. He's not like the guy that's exactly. Yeah.
And I understand their decision for publishing Christian Nationalism. I think maybe it was a good marketing decision that probably turned out very poorly for them because they, in a way, they really are showing their support for the book Christian Nationalism just by having published it.
Yeah.
But the move was there's this big movement called Christian Nationalism that they wanted to kind of control the narrative on, which was a good thing. And I think that was a wise decision. And that's what we as Christians should be doing. And it's why I'm not afraid of the term Christian nationalist. I'm happy calling myself that because I think there are people calling themselves Christian nationalists who are pure evil. But the idea of having a Christian nation is what we should want. And if we as Christians
what Christian wouldn't want that?
Right,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Then what we're doing, if we kind of flee from that idea, is we're just letting the leftists control everything we believe, because the leftists say, Christian nationalism is a bad thing, and then us as Christians are like, oh yeah, I guess it is a bad thing.